nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
All righty. Doreen, would you call the roll?
Rick King,
Here.
James Hebert,
Here.
William Sedlick,
Here.
Roger Beely,
Here.
Marvin Gates,
Here.
and Ed Hodgson.
Here.
Great. We do not have Jennifer Ladd tonight. And it's rather thrilling to have our two alternate seats now filled. So welcome to your first planning board meeting, Ed and Marvin. Welcome. And we have lots of fun here. And at the same time, I'd like to acknowledge your promotion to a full board, full voting member now. So.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's an honor.
All right. So with that, because of Jennifer Ladd's absence, I am promoting Ed to a voting member tonight. And feel, as this is your first meeting, do as you're comfortable with. And by next meeting, you better be totally on board. All right. I have high hopes. All right. With that, Doreen provided the minutes from the April 13th meeting. I'd like to enter those in the record. So is there a motion to accept those?
So moved.
Thank you, James. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, William. And with that, would you take the roll, Doreen?
Rick King,
I'm going to abstain because I was absent at that meeting. And while I'm saying that, James, thank you for pitch hitting for me. It was a long night. I read the minutes. You had a lot of exciting things happen. So thank you for filling in.
Very welcome. It was a good time.
James
Yes.
Hebert, William Sedlick,
Yes.
Roger Beely,
Yes.
and Ed Hodgson.
I'll abstain because I was not part of the board at that point.
All right. So there's enough for, we have three, right? That's enough to enter those, or do we have to bring it up again next month? 2 abstained, 2 voting members abstained, and 3 approved. 4. All right. So we'll do that drill again next month when it'll be on the agenda. Okay? Sounds good. All right. With that, we do have a busy night tonight. We have 8 items for consideration. The first one being 4.01, Goro Palmer on behalf of MR Development and MRW Town Center Development LLC requests a sketch plan review for 2 single-story commercial buildings and associated parking, driveways, and pedestrian walkways at 72 Market Street, Lot 2, Assessor's Map U056, Lot B002. This is a carryover from last month. Sorry, we weren't able to get to it. James had a big agenda. So with that, Helen, do you want to introduce this one again?
Sure. I'll keep it brief since, as you mentioned, this is a repeat, or rather revisiting from last agenda. As you mentioned, 2 single-story commercial buildings in the downtown center. Building 1 is estimated around 4,000 square feet to be shared between a bank with a drive-through and a retail use. And then building 2 is TBD for end user, but I'll let the applicant speak more to that if they wish, and they're available for questions.
Thank you, Helen. And for the applicant?
Good evening. I'm Dan Bacon with M&R Development. I'm joined by Drew Gagnon from Goro Palmer and Selena from our office. I was actually going to share my screen to do a quick presentation for the board. Am I doing something wrong? Oh, share. Press share. Okay, without suspense, again, this is the site that Helen introduced, and we're before you for a sketch plan. And this site is located, I'm bringing up our master plan for the town center. We reviewed this general layout with the board actually over a year ago, when we were starting permitting for Market Basket, Intermed, the other buildings that are currently under construction. And at that time, we presented this overall layout and direction we'd be headed. So I am highlighting the site that we're talking about. That's just along Market Street in front of Market Basket, which is under construction, and it's outlined in red. And it was always intended to be kind of the gateway or sort of entry into town center, and having smaller commercial buildings in front of Market Basket before you get to the mixed-use buildings that are really in the core of town center. And it's located at the corner of Market Street and Avenue West, which is the main entrance into the Market Basket site. To get in a bit more detail, this is a zoom in of just lot 2 and the lot that Market Basket's located on. And again, highlights this corner location and initial layout. And this zooms in on the site plan. So what we've done with this site layout is we're designing the site to accommodate 2 commercial buildings. One on the left would be 4,000 square feet, 2,000 square feet for a bank with a drive-through, and 2,000 square feet for retail or personal service type use. And then the building pad, if you will, to the right, we don't have an end user for yet, but we're thinking it could be retail, cafe, other commercial type use that complements the bank and the retail on the left side of the site. We've designed it in a way to have shared parking. So it's laid out that the 46 parking spaces would be shared amongst all 3 uses on the site. There's also parking that's planned at the top of the screen, planned north from the buildings, which actually is going to be used ultimately for the site to the right, which is right across the drive. Because that site, similar to the mixed-use building the board's already reviewed and approved closer to Market Basket, that site will need some ancillary parking given the plans for ground floor commercial and upper story residential or like uses. So the top of the screen, the 30 or so parking spaces are really intended for the site to the right, but we'd be building that now as part of this particular site plan. In terms of the specific layout, we've designed the access points in accordance with the overall subdivision plan. So when we reviewed Avenue West, the road that's the left of the site here, that driveway location was already laid out. And so we're using that previously approved location. And we also always intended to connect to the drive that serves Market Basket and the adjacent sites on the top of your screen. In addition, the layout of the site is such that the shared parking is between the 2 buildings, really because that's the pedestrian area of the site to get easy access to both buildings. Sidewalks are planned on both sides of that parking lot. We've also been talking with staff about providing a strong pedestrian connection to the sidewalk along Market Street, which is really the primary frontage for this site. And we're going to add that when we come back to you for site plan review. So that'll provide a better pedestrian connection to the sidewalk that will connect you into the rest of town center and actually out to Allagash and the site to the west. In addition, we've laid out the drive-through to be isolated and not kind of commingled with the parking lot. So this site layout has the drive-through for the bank on the left side so that it's only being used for the drive-through. No other location can that really happen in this site layout. And we felt it's really important to have the drive-through be kind of low-key and separate from a circulation standpoint than the parking lot. In addition, we've tried to pull the buildings as close to Market Street as possible so that it has that kind of urban relationship to the street, while also providing the drive-through for the bank. In terms of utilities, and Drew's here to answer more details about utilities, but high level utilities are planned to serve the site just as laid out in the subdivision. So there's utilities in Avenue West, in Market Street, and stubs are already in place. So water, sewer, electric will be underground. All will be served from the locations planned on the surrounding road system. In terms of the aesthetics of the building, this is a view looking from Market Street. So this is the primary view of the building if you're walking along the sidewalk on Market or driving down Market Street. The building materials are intended to be unique to this particular building, but match up really well with what's already under construction in terms of Market Basket, the Breakaway, which is our mixed-use building under construction, Intermed, as well as the buildings located out at 10 Market, closer to Higas Parkway. So it's a combination of clapboard and also corrugated vertical metal siding. We did a fairly similar building material palette on the 10 Market building where Allagash is located. So we wanted to have a relationship to that building, but also have some variation. There's going to be a canopy that really ties the building together, and a lot of fenestration in terms of windows and glazing, especially on the front of the building as well as the main entrances facing the parking area. This view shows the look of the building from Avenue West or coming up to Avenue West. And it's an important one in that it shows the signage that we discussed at your last meeting. That is the signage for Market Basket. It's also the signage that's really kind of the gateway into the town center. So the right side of the sign indicates town center, the Downs, with an arrow actually to the right, and then Market Basket's sign is obviously on the left side of this kind of multi-purpose sign. So given the scale of that sign, it also is going to be effective in terms of kind of shielding the left corner of the building where cars may drive through under the drive-through and then circulate onto the parking lot. And similar to other banks in Scarborough, as well as one that we had permitted in other parts of the project, we're proposing a high hedgerow along that edge so that landscaping and then the building will be what you see. At that corner, you'll also see the top of the canopy, but it really makes the drive-through kind of secondary with landscaping and the building architecture being the prominent view. In terms of the parking, I know staff had some questions about the parking. Like I said, we're proposing 46 spaces. We anticipate, just given the nature of this, it's a shared parking lot, and we're providing for the 46 because really the final two end users aren't known at this point. So we want to provide ample parking for the various commercial uses that could happen on the site, while also not building too much parking to kind of overwhelm the site. Like other sites in town center, we also anticipate a fair amount of shared parking overall, where somebody can stop, go to the bank, go to a retail shop, and they could leave their car there and do other things in town center. So that we expect to happen like we've talked about in other sites in town center. I guess the one last thing I'll add is we've studied the drive-through queuing to be what the bank would need, but also not kind of too much queuing to, again, add more pavement than we need or kind of have the drive-through dominate the site plan. So we actually went out and did counts at a similar bank in Greater Portland to get a handle on the likely queuing. And Drew can speak to that in more detail if you have questions, but we took sample times during weekday as well as a Saturday to have that data so that we're designing for present day kind of banking needs. Because I think as everybody's experienced over the past 5 to 7 years, online banking, direct deposit with people's pay stubs, excuse me, has dramatically decreased the use of drive-throughs. While they're still important, they're not what they used to be in terms of needing such wide queuing and lengthy queuing. So I just wanted to let the board know that we've used real life data to inform the design of and current data to inform the design of the site layout. I think with that, I'll stop my presentation, and I'm certainly happy to answer board comments, or excuse me, answer any comments or questions you have.
Thanks, Dan. This item is available for public comment. If there's anyone wishing to, please go to the podium. We'll do a check online.
Online.
No hands? All right, I'm closing public comment and appreciate the narrative. And I have a couple of questions on the drive-through. Is there a ATM being incorporated into this under the canopy, or is it just straight teller service?
We're anticipating an ATM and teller on the building side lane, if you will, the closest lane, and a teller service on the outer.
So very much like the main community bank there by the Hannaford then?
Yes.
Yep, okay, all right. And what is your guess on the queuing here? Because they'll be going on the outer lane. And yeah, I guess I kind of want to know the distance here, and how many cars do you think could get queued up to get teller service?
Drew's team did the oversight or the counts elsewhere, so I'm gonna let him speak to that.
Thanks, Dan. Drew Gagnon with LJB Engineering, formerly known as Coral Palmer. I gotta get used to saying that.
What is that now? That's new.
LJB Engineering is, we got acquired by a parent company, LJB Engineering. So we're switching
Okay.
the branding over. So you'll see our title block updated.
Oh,
And I
gosh.
got to get used to saying that at speaking now. So I just wanted to practice it. So I appreciate the,
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Regarding the queuing length, so this site plan, which we provided for the board tonight, shows vehicles on it, and this is on your screen right now. These are spaced 25 feet on center, which is pretty typical conservative spacing for vehicle queuing. You can see the inside lane has 4 vehicles queued, and the outside lane can sustain 3 additional. When we counted a similar bank, the bank was 2 drive-throughs like this. However, it was actually larger. It was a 3,700 square foot bank. So again, that can be deemed as conservative. The most we saw was on a Saturday at any given time was 3 cars were queued on the inside lane, and there were no cars queued on the outside lane. And that may just be the bank's orientation, or people didn't mind waiting. Not sure what that was about, but either way, the most we saw was 3. And again, that was a larger bank with 2 drive-throughs, so very similar situation, if not a larger bank. So with that, we feel like we're pretty confident regarding the queuing that we're providing here. With teller service on both the inside and outside, we feel like that also allows for different variation, whether so you're not having to be in one lane, you can kind of go into each one. So we've got 1 car length and 1 vehicle queued beyond what we had physically counted. And that was on a Saturday from 10 to 12 p.m. is when we counted that. We also counted a weekday. These are typical time periods during a peak hour that we run traffic movement counts off of too. So it's basically at the busiest time we're expecting. We did physical counts and only saw 3 at any given time. So
Would you include that data in the formal site plan?
absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
So part of the sketch plan, we hadn't done those counts yet. That was
Yeah,
done.
yeah, no, I understand.
Absolutely,
Yep,
sure. Yep.
yeah, okay, great. That's really all I had on this as far as the sketch plan, and I'll open up to my colleagues. James?
That turn seems really tight for any kind of pickup truck on that interior corner. All I'm saying is from just other banks in town that I've used for the drive-through. If you modeled that with like a full-size pickup and people can make that turn without hitting the corner of the building.
Yep. Yep, passenger cars up to 19 feet, which is really your largest truck you're gonna see going through this is, can make that corner. What we can do is we can show that on our site plan submittal. We can show the turning movement for that.
Okay. And I guess what metrics are you using that determines that this is a bank is better suited here as opposed to like more retail or even a restaurant or something else besides bank?
Well, I think as you know, James, we're doing a variety of different building types in town center. And so we have 65,000 square feet of retail restaurant under construction right now next to Market Basket. We have Market Basket at 80,000 feet. And none of those spaces are intended for bank use. So that's really right now where we're focusing immediate restaurant retail leasing. And looking at, and we don't think those are appropriate locations for a bank drive-through. Those are really the kind of heart and soul of town center in terms of that Main Street walkable environment. This location is right on the edge. This location is going to be a higher traffic corner going in and out for Market Basket. And it's going to be on the edge of that kind of pedestrian shed, if you will, for where you're going to be going shopping or going to a restaurant. So we think this site, out of really any site in town center, is the best place for a bank where the customers are those same kind of customers going in once or twice a week to the grocery store and walking to the bank or using the drive-through. And we also think uses that can kind of convenience, service, kind of personal service type uses also make sense here. So there could be a hair salon, for example, or a kind of quick pickup type restaurant. Those are the types of uses we're thinking this site works really well for, versus those other kind of Main Street mixed use building type uses that a bank really doesn't make sense.
Okay, I appreciate that. I guess, because we also do have a bank right down the street next to Allagash, like not a tenth of a mile away. And I guess your metrics show that like 2 banks in the Downs is appropriate for this population.
We do. As surprising as it is, there are some banks that aren't in Scarborough yet. So this location is desirable for a bank, as is the one you just referenced. We don't think there are going to be many more than that. And if on a square foot basis, it's kind of it's a micro number in terms of square footage, in terms of overall commercial space. So we're doing 64,000 feet elsewhere of retail and restaurant. This is 2,000 feet. So it's not like the Downs is going to be a lot of square footage of banks. It's just going to have a couple that provide service to those that are in and out of the project.
Okay. Across from it, the spot that hasn't been committed yet for a tenant. Why the decision? I know you explained it, but help me understand why building it out now when we don't know who could potentially go there wouldn't that be? I guess I fear you'd be restricting someone who could go in there in the future if you're building out the pad now. Like this is your spot to go in, but like what if somebody went in there that wanted to have more of a green space or like an outdoor cafe space? I know we had the photo earlier showing the rendered image, but it seemed like the cafe spot was just right inside that parking lot. And I wondered if you accounted for, if it is going to be a cafe, potentially, it's one of your options, where would that green space go around there? And how could you incorporate that now while it's built out?
Sure, yeah, we don't intend to install the foundation or take the site further than we should in terms of inhibiting a green space. So that rectangle basically shows a likely building footprint. It could be smaller, and it could have patio right up against the sidewalk. All we're trying to do here is depict more or less where the building is located. And because the parking is shared, we really need to build that kind of parking now and enable at a future site plan review process, the board review of the building architecture, the building footprint, outdoor space, et cetera. So if it's a cafe, we definitely would want to have dining out close to Market Street as shown in that image. If it's a hair salon, we probably wouldn't have a outdoor, patio, but we might have a seating area, so we'll adapt the plan with outdoor space, indoor space based on the end user. And we're going to, enable that to happen. All we're doing is going to build the parking to serve the building on the left and enable flexibility on the right.
Okay, thank you. And I guess my last one is, we were talking about shared parking. Is that just for those 3 buildings that are going to be in there, or are other people going to share it as well? Like say if, you have an event going on in the town square, will people be able to park in there after hours when the bank is not going to be open? Or if there's overflow from Allagash and people want to walk up the street?
Yeah, the intention is if this site is, if there's a quiet time of the week or the day, then others can park here. And like I said earlier, the intention is, depending on the uses, people could park here, do their business on this side, and then leave their car and go to that concert or go to dinner afterwards.
That would be, if we're gonna have this here, that would be ideal for me to see, is just to make sure that it's noted somewhere on paper that, yes, this parking lot can be open for others during off hours
Yeah.
of the businesses that can be used, into the evening hours for another business that's there, that's gonna be open. Yes, that would be one of my stipulations I want to see.
Mhm.
Those are all the questions I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, James. William?
Yeah, I think I share James's concerns. I mean, I know that this is on the edge of the property. I fully trust that you've done the analysis that another bank can be supported. I do feel like one of the things I really admire about the Downs project is the focus on creating it as a town center. Knowing that online banking is, and there are ample options for drive-throughs in Scarborough, my preference would be that this would not be a drive-through here at the Downs, that there is kind of a uniform feel to the Downs experience. And I love the notion of outdoor dining, but I think if you're going to probably market this as drive-through banking, it will end up as drive-through banking. And so I think I'm struggling with, I do understand that this is on the edge, and that, but I don't see how this necessarily fits with the overall concept at the Downs with the drive-through there. Especially, I mean, I'm also just looking at the tremendous amount of parking behind it, and really liking how that the feel of things is on Market Street. And so I just want to provide that comment to the group and that feedback to you all as you're considering this.
Yeah, we're beyond marketing this site, so there's a bank that's wants to move forward. We can't announce them yet. So it's more than just a concept from that standpoint.
The lack of drive-through banking be a deal breaker for this bank?
It would in this location, yeah, yeah. I could comment on the parking just to follow up. The intention, again, with the parking that's top of the screen is it's really for the adjacent use to the right. And I realize you don't have a plan to look at with that. I just wanted to refer to what the board saw before with the breakaway. If you remember the breakaway, that's the building right next to Intermed. We provided additional parking that was more kind of remote to enable the density of ground floor kind of retail and housing above and not have that site be too much parking. So we're trying to do the same type of thing here in that this end of town center is, for better or for worse, the more kind of parking oriented end because of Market Basket's kind of layout. So there's an element of there of
I
that.
understand that. I just wonder if there's a creative solution. I mean, I know there are spaces where the drive-through is not specifically attached to the bank, and the kind of technology around that, whether there's, it could be in the parking lot behind it, that there would be a way to preserve this and also provide that amenity for the bank.
Anything else, William?
I'm looking and I don't think so at this time.
All right, thank you. Roger?
Thank you. First of all, I understand this is before us because you have somebody who wants to build a bank right here. So I have no problem with what you presented so far. I do have a question, just kind of curious on the queuing for the drive-through. And I don't know. I don't have an answer for this, but I'm kind of curious. Is it normal to have like a slip lane when you have drive-through? So if somebody gets stuck behind a vehicle and they're in a rush, they have a way of getting out?
Yeah, and this is for typical for all drive-throughs. It varies. It depends. Some do, some don't. What we typically see is the ones that are utilized the most or busier typically have that slip lane. Given that, again, the queuing that we saw and based on our visual survey of bank drive-throughs on a larger bank, it just doesn't seem necessary, and it just adds an additional impervious area and would kind of, again, be more of a wider pavement feel. So that's why we decided not to. But to answer your question, it is common, but it's really depending on the use and the projected amount of traffic volume.
I know I've been behind vehicles, you know, you get behind a car and the next thing you know, they're doing all kinds of transactions and you want to get out of there so you can move on. So, that's all I really have. I basically think this is laid out very attractively and I don't have a problem with any of it right at this point.
Thank you, Roger. Looking over on my right?
No,
Ed?
I think you all asked questions that I would have asked and got answers, so I think I'm good there.
Okay. Marvin, are you interested in?
No, thank you.
Okay, all right. As this is a sketch plan, they will be coming back with a full site plan. And I think staff has provided you with their comments and have indicated several points for your thoughts. And when you come back, make sure you've dotted the i's and crossed the t's with what the staff is looking for. And I suspect we'll see you again.
Great. I appreciate it.
All right, any questions for us?
Nope, I have staff comments and got the board's comments, so we'll address those and be back before you.
Great. Thanks, Dan. All right, moving on to item 4.02. Sebago Technics on behalf of Southworth Milton Incorporated, doing business as Milton Cat, is requesting a site plan review for a 14,400 square foot addition to the existing structure and 1,800 square foot expansion to the utility building and a new 6,600 square foot canopy for the adjacent utility building and 15 parking spaces along the northeast side of the property at 16 Pleasant Hill Road, Assessors Map U50, Lot 25. Helen, do you want to give us an overview?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So you covered some of the details of the expansion. This is about a 10.6 acre parcel, and I just wanted to flag that the expansion stretches into South Portland as well. It's a shared site. So there's been a South Portland review process as well. And while we're touching on the Scarborough side, I did want to mention that there were some stormwater comments that came out of South Portland's review following our receipt of the application that the applicant has been working on and they can speak to in more detail. So I wanted to flag that. And staff had a couple comments from our traffic review on the applicant's approach to the traffic analysis, but again, I'll let them speak to that in more detail and they're available for questions.
Okay, thank you, Helen. And for the applicant?
I guess all the big bucks. Good evening, folks. My name is Brad Farron. I live in Norridgewock, Maine, and I'm the Director of Facilities for Milton Cat, Southworth Milton. And first of all, thank you. We've enjoyed almost a 40-year relationship here in the town of Scarborough. And so this is a little bit complicated from a standpoint of we don't have the footprint to do the expansion that we need to do strictly on the building expansion. So we reached out to the folks, national distributors on the other side, on the South Portland side, and we have entered into a lease agreement contingent upon approvals to lease about 5 acres of land on the South Portland side and basically punch from our property onto that site that allows us strictly for equipment storage. And that would allow us to do this expansion and stay in Scarborough because we are busting at the seams and doing upgrade in our warehouse with some technology with VLMs and things of that nature. So we got to get approval from South Portland. We need approval from you folks, and we're in the process with the DEP right now, going through that whole thing to execute the lease. So that in the lease, we've got it's a 20-year lease with 2 5-year expansions, so we tie up the property for about 30 years, which allows us to stay here in Scarborough with what we need to do from an equipment standpoint. So again, many moving pieces, and we got to get all these approvals, right? We need yours, we need City of South Portland, and we need a DEP to be able to execute the lease and do this whole thing. So you're first up. We are in conversations with South Portland. We actually have a peer review on Wednesday. We had a very productive meeting with the DEP today. And with that being said, technical stuff, I'm like the head janitor. That's why I hired these guys as the engineer. So they're going to answer the specific questions. Anything operational wise or about the company, I'm more than happy to answer those. But technical stuff, Steve Harding with Sebago Techniques.
Thanks, Brad. Ellen, could you bring up that rendering I sent you? Thank you. I realized today that the person I borrowed the pointer from is on vacation today, so I'm gonna try to use my descriptive skills. Helen did a good job of an overview. We brought along a rendering. There's a yellow line kind of cutting through the middle of that rendering. To the right and upper part of that is the South Portland portion of the project that Brad mentioned. That was an approved subdivision some time ago. And Milton Cat would be picking up about 6 lots of that subdivision and basically developing an equipment storage area on that side of the property. The area to the left of that yellow line is in Scarborough. That's a lot of it has been developed. As Brad mentioned, they're busting at the seams. They're proposing an expansion of 14,400 square feet on the main sales and service building. That also includes warehouse space. There's an 1,800 square foot expansion on the lower building for another bay on the utility building. And on the left side of that is a 6,600 square foot expansion of the canopy. And then in the upper left-hand corner of the Scarborough site, we're proposing an expansion of 15 parking spaces to go up there. That would be treated by an underground soil filter. And we're also proposing a drip edge along the canopy to perform the stormwater needs for the site. As Brad mentioned, we're going through South Portland and DEP at the same time. South Portland, we actually met with Autumn and Milan from South Portland in the early part of the project and talked about, do we review this as a combined entity or do we separate them? The decision was made to separate it because both the project lends itself to be split that way. So South Portland is reviewing their side. You folks are looking at your side. I do know that some of the review comments they had kind of spilled over into Scarborough. So we're addressing those. They did make some comments about stormwater, but we've gone through all those. And Brad mentioned we have a meeting coming up on Wednesday. We're going to go through those more in detail. We don't see anything in there that's going to make a substantial difference there. The tan area in the South Portland side is going to be treated by 2 gravel wetlands. So we're very confident that we'll meet the stormwater standards that they have. There's also been some discussion about the DEP permitting. We've spent quite a bit of time today with the DEP going over that. Scarborough, there's actually 2 DEP permits, one for the Milton Cat Scarborough facility and one for the subdivision in South Portland. For the Milton Cat Scarborough facility, that would be a minor amendment. When we uploaded it into the electronic system that the DEP has, we hit minor revision, which it was fully intended to be a minor amendment. We set up the application fee, the notices and all that was basically set up for a minor amendment. So we clarify that in our discussions with the DEP today. We know we have to adjust some narratives, but we think that's more of a standard DEP process. The Southport one is unique because that was permitted back some time ago. And basically the assumptions that were used at the time to allow that permit allows that permit to go forward as a minor revision, which if you're just looking at it, you would say that there's, that's not the category to use. So we're actually working through that. Brad's going to work with the landowner. He has to get a partial transfer as part of that DEP permit. So those things are all in play and working forward. Again, we're planning on meeting with South Portland and go through their steps. We do have the peer review comments. Helen mentioned about the traffic review. There's a couple of few ways of estimating traffic and resultant impact fees from Scarborough. If this was a brand new development, we go out and count some other areas like the bank project was just done. Because we're expanding the utility building and the warehouse and the service area of the main building, the building expansion looks a lot bigger in terms of traffic generation. If you just went by the building, it'd be a much higher count. Milton Cat is projecting that they'll increase the workers at the facility by 4 employees. So if you just went that route, that would be a much lower value. So what we did, we averaged the two. So it's really a difference in perspective of how you're looking at it. The peer reviewer felt that averaging them wasn't reflective of what he felt the process should be. So the difference would be, I think, under the way we did it, it's about a $6,300 impact fee. If we didn't average it, it's probably an additional 5,000. So that's one of the differences. The other comments that he had were related to adding a stop bar and a stop sign at the intersection. That's no problem. Did make a comment about adding lighting at that intersection. And we don't think that's necessary in this case. There's a lot of spillover lighting already that's happening there. So I know usually when I come for a board, I'm arguing for lighting and they're telling me not to do so much. So little unique perspective there. And then as far as the stormwater comments that we got from your peer reviewer, those are all pretty straightforward comments, as well as the staff comments looking for additional tables and some other clarification items. So all in all, we feel like, those are pretty straightforward comments. I don't know if you want to touch on anything else, Brad?
No, just on the expansion piece, folks, just so you, like Steve said, right? 14,000 square feet and the 1,800 in the canopy, right? Right now, if you look at that canopy expansion is basically, we already have that stuff on the ground. It's actually on the other side of the building. And this is just to put a canopy on to get it out from undercover so that it doesn't rust and turn around and everything. So it's not really increasing a lot of inventory. And it doesn't increase, that's already impervious area, it's concrete area now. And then the 14,000 square feet is, the equipment's getting bigger. And we need bigger crane capacity to handle some of that stuff. And while we might add 4 to 6 technicians because of that, we're also looking at technology in the warehouse with VLMs and things of that nature, which reduces a couple of head counts. So that's how we come up with the numbers. If you look at it, it is a net gain, and we estimate it at 4 right now. And if you look at the square footage, it seems like, well, it should be more than that, which impacts also the traffic count, right? Because you think you're going to have that much more business. This really is to accommodate our customers and the workload we have now with the size of the equipment and what's around there. So just kind of that background so you understand why we're where we're at.
It's at your presentation.
Yeah, the only other point I was going to add, we're also providing to the sidewalk fee. We're adding a $7,100, I think, dollar donation, I'll call it, to the sidewalk fund.
Mhm. Great. Well, we'll always take that, right? All right. Well, this project is also available for public comment. Anyone wishing to speak, please go to the podium. We'll look online.
No hands online.
No hands online, so I'm going to close public comment. And just before I hand it over to Roger, yeah, sometimes entities disagree on traffic counts and things like that. And my question is, if your traffic counts are as low as you're saying they are, what's the need for the 15 extra spaces?
So when we looked at the site, the Milton Cat uses a lot of their parking spaces to store equipment, to store fleet trucks, those sorts of things. So when we put that package together. That's what we were looking for.
So this isn't an increase in customers coming to you and you
Right,
mentioned
speak up.
maybe 4 new employees?
So you folks have the engineers come through here all the time and go through this process. When we decided to go through this process, I turned to Steve and said, I want as many parking spaces as we can because we're not going to come back and do this 2 years from now or 5 years from now. We want to address the stormwater over the site and we want to have that parking. If you're not familiar, right, we have a sister company called Milton Rents, which is over on 750 Warren Avenue. And sometimes we have some of those managers come over and it's more for employee parking that we can have some joint meetings and things like that. And we're tight on space through that whole facility, just from a parking standpoint, as well as storage of why we're doing that canopy piece. We need the additional spaces. It really, I mean, I'd love to tell you that I'd love to see 50 more customers a day come through. That's really not the drive. It's to maintain the customer load that we have right now.
Okay, but the potential is there as you expand. So work with our traffic consultant through our staff. And I'm sure you all can work out a
Mr. Chair,
happy number.
I'm not going to argue between $5,000 and $6,700.
Right, well, it's important to us, it's important to our citizens. I mean, traffic in Scarborough is a hot button. I know we'll see this again, and I know you mentioned in your presentation that you wanted us first, where we're going to go last. Because the bulk of this work is going to be done in Scarborough. So I would like to make sure that as you come back, all those pieces with South Portland have all been ironed out. We're going to see it. And we're going to make a judgment on how this project fits within our ordinances along with whatever South Portland has needed from you.
So, Mr. Chair, can I ask a clarifying?
Sure.
So if I came to you with this application strictly for a building permit, separate from South Portland, because we have done this, we've come before and looked at that, and we came internally from a standpoint that we can't give up 14,000 square feet of equipment storage area to build this. I guess I'm struggling a little bit with why it's separate and from that standpoint, why it's contingent upon, because we
Is a
could.
DEP permit going to be part of those two jurisdictions?
They're
Maybe staff can help us here.
Let me weigh in. So normally, I think that was the confusion. We were trying to figure out what type of DEP permit was required. They supplied DEP for 2 separate permits, and there was some confusion over whether it needed to be one combined permit or not. I would think we'll figure that out on Wednesday, and it sounds like DEP is comfortable keeping in this 2 separate. And so what you all have done in the past, if you're amending an existing DEP permit, you will move forward with an approval. If it's a brand new DEP permit, you require them to get that and you'll put them on a consent agenda. So seeing as it looks like this one, outside of traffic comments and staff comments and our engineering peer review comments, I think we can put this back on the agenda for next time, unless you all see something that you'd like to change with the plans themselves. Now, if we have that meeting on Wednesday and DEP says, no, you got to start over, it's a whole new brand new permit, then you all won't see it again until that is resolved. So that does happen.
Very helpful. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Sure.
That help you out a little bit? I see you smiling again now. Okay. I'm just trying to protect us here in Scarborough.
The extra $5,000.
Very, very good. I'm happy to see this. It means another business is going to stay long-term here in Scarborough. You've been here a long time and a fixture on Pleasant Hill Road. My only comment is on the landscaping around that new parking area and then around and further down on Pleasant Hill. If there's any way to kind of keep it robust or get it a little bit more robust so we're not seeing all those buildings, we're seeing more of a landscape. I would appreciate that. I'm not saying it's it's a deal killer. But anytime we can add some vegetation and some greenery, especially on Pleasant Hill Road, I think it would be a nice amenity.
Mr. Chair, you're not saying that beautiful Caterpillar yellow equipment is not beautiful landscaping?
I happen to like it. I've been in the maintenance business for a long time, but it's all about the experiences of our
Yeah,
customers
we
and
did
your
propose-
customers.
We did propose some landscape. We could take another look at it. We didn't want to necessarily put like pine trees and totally, block that.
Yeah, well,
Get your point.
Doctor it up a little bit when you resubmit and when we see it again, because I think you're almost there. But I would just like to see if we can add some more beauty on Pleasant Hill and it kind of makes it a little less industrial.
Mhm.
All right?
Okay.
To my colleagues, Roger, I saw your hand up first, so I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you. I was initially gonna ask you if there was another facility closing somewhere, that was the reason for this expansion, but it's not. It's just basically, I think, you just want to spread out the so-called clutter, like.
Well, and we want to stay here in Scarborough. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
my task as the director of facilities is to look at the capacity. And one of the things, the equipment has gotten bigger.
Yeah.
And I think in the existing facility right now, we got a 7.5 ton and a 10-ton crane. Some of that equipment now, and that's why this expansion, we got to put in larger cranes to deal with some of the larger equipment. So this expansion allows us to stay here in Scarborough and maintain kind of the, I don't want to say the status quo, because we are doing technology in the warehouse and some of those things, but no facilities are closed to stay here. It's to maintain this footprint.
Okay, will everything still come through Pleasant Hill Road? In other words, you're not gonna bring any equipment in from this Bud Avenue off of Wallace?
No, so one of the things with the lease agreement is that we do not have access unless for emergency, like if it's an oversized load or, fire department from South Portland, but we do not have constant access on Bud Avenue. It still comes through our facility.
Okay, I tend to agree with you that I don't think it needs to be signalized. I use that road all the time. The only time I see any possible problem, and I'm not sure there's gonna be one, because you're not adding more stuff, you're just kind of spreading what you have out, is when there is a large piece of equipment coming in off of Route 1 and gonna go into your entrance. If there's any kind of vehicles, following onto Pleasant Hill Road, there's sometimes, but it's rare. It's not that often it happens.
I mentioned to Steve when we talked about that just a little bit. Oh, go ahead.
The light was for just a Cobra head at the driveway, not for a signalized intersection.
Oh,
Just for a Cobra head.
oh,
That was the traffic.
okay.
They usually will ask for those DOT standard lights.
Oh,
at
okay,
larger
okay.
facilities.
all
Yeah,
right.
I apologize. I should have clarified that.
It's okay.
It's a little bit down the way on the opposite side, but we usually ask for them to put those in.
Okay. I think that's all I have at this point. I do think what you have now is fairly attractive, it's attractive when you consider what else is on Pleasant Hill Road, so. So, as somebody who drives that road almost every single day, so, I'm satisfied at this point.
Thank you, James.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's already been mentioned, it looks like you're having a conversation already with staff about addressing the lighting concerns, so I won't need to rehash those there, but I know on previous discussions of that particular intersection we've had at the board, the debate about needing an additional light fixture on the Pleasant Hill Road Hill side. I would just say work with town on that. I know we had discussed that at length previously. The only other thing I wanted to mention, and it was noted in staff comments as well, just making sure you address the concerns about snow storage and where the snow removal and how that's gonna go. And I don't know if they make it yellow rhododendron, but rhododendron would be cool.
Thanks, James. William?
I would actually disagree. Rhododendron would not be an appropriate use of that space, but I just want to, this is a fantastic use of the industrial zone, and it's great to have the senator down south. So thank you for your work on this. I think it's a great business to have in Scarborough. And this, I mean, this is why these zones exist. I would love to see some, but not a lot of vegetation, let the yellow shine. And, but I think there is an element of, the snow removal in particular, the worry I have is just as you think about how things are getting crowded, how that snow is getting kind of moved around with a lot of the heavy equipment in wintertime especially. And I'm sure you have a plan for that. So just when you come back, would love to know more about the plan for that.
Yeah, and just thinking through this, right, is that we're actually taking impervious area that was equipment storage, and we're gonna make it 14,000 square feet of service bays, and we're adding a utility bay. So the equipment storage is actually going, you know, across the way into the South Portland piece. So that snow removal piece back, we're on the back side of the property, which we can designate for that, we'll actually have, I don't want to say less snow to handle, because we're gonna have less open area,
You're gonna have
because it's gonna be
buildings.
covered by the building, so.
Just really helpful. Thank you so much. I'm all set, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you, William. Ed?
He answered my question about snow, and yeah, maybe just some, I know we were talking about vegetation, nothing too high, just something sort of, a little bit of curb appeal, so to speak, just right there. I'd like to see that as well when you come back.
Marvin?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, thank you.
Okay, all right. Well, I think you're 90% there. Work with staff to finish it all up. We're probably, based on whatever happens, I would not be opposed for this to come back to us as a consent item, because they've got just about everything there. They need to have this meeting, they need to coordinate and make sure DEP is blessing it all. And if you're not opposed to that, colleagues, we'll put it on the consent agenda and get you through and out of here. Keep up the good work. And again, your best friends are our staff.
And you have a tremendous staff.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, team. And we'll move on to 4.03, and that says something in the neighborhood of
Signage master plan.
Goro Palmer on behalf of MR Holdings and Crossroad Holdings LLC for the Downs Plan Development Signage Master Plan Review, Assessors Map R52 Lot 4. That's right. Well, I'm reading what I have here on my instruction sheet at this point. And I think, Aaron, you're going to kick this one off for us.
Yes, I believe I am. So this is back for a resubmittal here. It was before you last month with their first submission for the signage master plan. As requested, they have included trail finding signs, as well as addressed some of the lingering questions that staff had about the size of the digital screen on the business directory signs at the project gateways. And we've kind of hashed out some of the, which signs get future numbers, number of signs, so that staff can approve signs as they come in for sign permits. We've not limited them on necessarily the number of certain sign types. So if you go through the memo that was provided, actually, Helen, can you go to the next slide? There you go. Okay, so I've scaled these all next to each other so you can see kind of the hierarchy that they are proposing with the different sign types. The project gateway, there's 2 of those. Vehicular towers and pedestrian towers, we've not necessarily limited by a certain number, but we have limited by 1 per block or 1 per corner, and we've spaced them out by 100 feet minimum distance. The rotary sign that is at the main roundabout, there's only 1 of those allowed. And then the parking signs are kind of as an as-needed basis, but again, spaced by at least 100 feet. The market basket sign at the top is kind of a standalone. There are 2 of them. There's a primary and a secondary. But in the future, if another very large scale business would like to have a similar sign, they will need to come back before you for an amendment to the signage master plan. And that stands also for if there's another project gateway in the future. So if they've expanded to a certain point and they need to, or would like to add another business directory sign, they will need to come before you because we're only approving 2 at the moment. And then the next slide, Helen, will show the trails signs. So there are 2 different sign types here. One is a map kiosk and the other is a smaller trail marker directional arrow. For both, for all the sign types, really, we're not necessarily tying them specifically to the locations that have been shown, but rather we've specified exactly when more than one sign is allowed, how far apart they need to be, and that they need to prove that there are vision triangles for sight distance provided on site. So as they come in for these signs, whether they're individually or as a packet, they ask for, let's say, 5 pedestrian towers all at once. We will evaluate the locations at that time.
Thank you. Well, sorry. And for the, oh, I've got to, no, I'll listen to you first and then I'll put it public comment.
Sure, no, Erin did a great job introducing this. We've worked closely with her and the rest of the planning team and took direction from the board at your last meeting. We had a comprehensive discussion presentation at your last meeting and resubmitted with the, especially with the branding on the trail signage that was talked about, the mapping and doing all the fine tuning. So I don't have any additional things to add and happy to answer questions the board has after your public comment.
Thank you very much. And yes, this item is available for public comment. Anyone wishing, please step up. Anybody online?
No hands online.
All right, so I'm going to close public comment and the board, I wasn't here for that. I know I'm thrilled that you were able to work with the planning board and the staff in allocating some time and resources to the trailways. I think that's a fantastic addition. I'm really pleased with how things settled in here. So I don't have any comments on this. I think the signs are attractive. I think the effectiveness of them will be readily available for your customers. At that, I'll turn it over. William, you look like you want to go first.
I have a couple thoughts I'd like to share.
Sure.
Dan, I appreciate you coming back with the trail signage. And just as background, because I don't think you know, I run a land trust for work, so trails are my business. And the feedback I have is I love the existing, I love the proposed trail system. The existing trails on Map South need to be connected or closed. You're just going to have trouble there. And I'd love to see them connected as you think about kind of an integrated system. I'm thinking the one, I think it was maybe a little, it's the one that's kind of the teardrop is particular, is just, it will be sources of confusion. You will get people lost. Would recommend partnering with Scarborough Land Trust, of course. But I think just love to see the breadth of the trail system on Map North and would encourage you to think about connections or closures on the trails on Map South.
Thank you, William. James?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I love, this is mimicking Will. I appreciate seeing all the trails. I think it's the first time we as a board have seen all the trails together on one plan. I guess I would like to see more signage and more wayfinding connecting all these together. We have the area that's sort of in the middle, southwest of Grist Mill Trails, that's just kind of by itself. And I know I would personally like to see all of these connected together. And if we remember, board members, it was last year, the discussion about having a bridge over the wooded marshland or the wooded wetland between Grist Mill Trails heading southwest. That was a debate and that was taken out and it wasn't voted on by the board. And I feel like if we had that trail still there, we would have had that opportunity to connect Grist Mill with the rest of the trail system that was there. Also, I'd like to see more notable wayfinding, and whether that's a trail or something else, but from the residential areas to the hockey rink. Um, The hockey rink is advertised as a big sell for the Maine Mariner hockey players that live there. And, we're saying that's great. They'll be able to walk to they'll be able to walk to the practice rink. We want to encourage people who live in the Downs to also go to the ice rink. But I don't see any trail or wayfinding actually leading people to the ice rink, even if that's just on the sidewalk. I'd like to see something on the sidewalks just being like ice rink this way, like Mariners Trail this way. Similarly, going down Market Street to Allagash, we were talking about earlier with the bank application for that lot. That's a Market Street is a main pathway going towards Allagash. And while you can access it from the backside where the dog park is, in D04, the directional signage location, people are going to be walking down from town center, down Market Street, all the way to Allagash. I feel like that's a really great opportunity for, trail to ale kind of thing, some kind of fun signage that could be put there, just to make it a little bit more fun and enjoyable and something more interactive for people, because people are walking out here. Everybody is out on these sidewalks all the time. And I feel like this is a great start, but I would like to see connectivity that brings all of this together to really give us that full, multimodal experience that we're working on getting here, with bikes, with pedestrians. I guess, Dan, did you have a trail consultant or a wayfinding sidewalk consultant earlier on? Is that?
Yeah, we do have a consultant working with us on the entire hierarchy of signage. In terms of the trails from our last discussion, we were focused on the trails that are in the open space. So that's what we really focused on adding. And what it sounds like you're talking about is along our sidewalks and multi-use paths, which are, kind of more of the built environment versus the natural environment. So we can definitely look at incorporating more of that. Our impression from last meeting was like really the open space, getting people using the green space, using those stone dust paths. So might have been my misinterpretation of the board's direction, but we can look at adding additional pedestrian wayfinding that's more, I guess, urban oriented or the built side of it.
And I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Dan. And I know, we raised that, and yes, we wanted obviously a focus on the more natural environments, but this is a mixed use environment. This is the term that defines this entire district, where we have, commercial, more dense residential, and we have some beautiful green open spaces that you guys are providing us, which we're very grateful for.
Sure.
I would just like to see, let's see the wayfinding applied to some of these main arteries of the sidewalks. Doesn't have to be every single street that goes on there, but you have an opportunity from the sort of denser population area, that loop in the sort of central northeastern area. You could have just a pathways like this is the quickest way to walk to the Mariners practice rink way down here. And it's going to take you 10 minutes from this location from where all the residents live. And I feel like that kind of personal touch is really what will really kind of make this place special from a standpoint of people living here, using the facilities and feeling like more connected with everything that's going on here and giving it that greater sense of community. So I would like to see more wayfinding inclusive of the sidewalks and direct paths to these major landmarks. If that's as clear as I can get. Thank you.
Thanks, James. Hang on, I think staff.
I just wanted to clarify it for us all. So I should have repeated this from last time. So the first thing we want to say is that the reason that the Downs is coming before us for a signage master plan is because they're proposing a large number and quantity of signs and different sign types. And they also are proposing to place them sometimes within the right of way, which is technically not allowed per our normal signage ordinance, right? That's for the public. And so since all the streets have not converted over to public right-of-ways yet, they're placing signs in public. So that's part of the reason for the signage master plan. And also what we're specifically looking at is the actual signs themselves and making sure that those design aesthetics are something that we all agree on. I think with the initial submission, the Downs were really looking to show us exactly how many signs and where they were going. And what we've actually, in the interim, come to the conclusion of, we've kind of set it up that they can come to us in the future with a new location, a whole new block, and say, we're going to take this sign and this sign that were from the signage master plan, and we'll show you now where they're going to go. So in relation to the trail signs, we're not looking at necessarily the location of trails right now. That would be during a master plan of the area. This is just the actual sign type and what the sign will look like. So that in the future, when we are presented a master plan with a park and a trail system, we can say, already in our heads, we know what the signs will look like as people are navigating those different neighborhoods. So what you're saying, in a neighborhood, they might choose to use the trail marker sign. They might choose to use, I'm not sure which other of the sign types would apply, maybe one of the pedestrian towers, but without the electronic. So we've set up that staff memo as kind of when they come in with a sign permit, we can assess that they've met all of their requirements, height, size, color, and number, and location, generally speaking, separation wise. And so that we can assess in the future and not have to hash out exactly here tonight or at future meetings exactly where the signs will be. Because typically for a sign permit, the planning board does not weigh in. It's only because they're going to be proposing so many and so many different kinds.
Understood.
Does that
No,
make
I
sense?
I appreciate that clarification. Things come and they come at certain points, and we may not see things for a year or two, or maybe this decision was made before I was on the planning board when this had started. So I don't understand or have a good grasp on when this will ever come back before us
Mhm.
for the whole system trail routing of the side of the trails and wayfinding. So I guess with that being said, if we are guaranteed another look at this in the future of the entire trail master plan, I would like to see the information here taken into account when that is finally put together and brought before us, just so that we have a real understanding of what's going to be going in there, so we don't have isolated pockets.
We don't have a requirement for them to do a combined trail master plan independently from other projects. But what you have tonight, you have the town center master plan expansion, so the residential, so you can get into the trails component with the master plans. And as they expand, they always amend the master plans. And so you could also, as those come forward, request or require that the trail system is shown. And then they could say in those master plans, wayfinding for the trails will adhere to the Downs master signage plan, and this is what we are thinking about locations. But I think that is a more appropriate location. This is really a sign discussion, and what they brought before you last time was explicitly for their commercial development. And so we've mixed it a bit. It's not a trails plan. And I told them that's why y'all wanted to see it. Because I said everybody wants to see the trail network because it's
So we
not
haven't
been
seen it.
seen, right, as one. And so I think it would be much more appropriate in subdivision and the master plan submittals.
Okay.
But I think it's a great idea, and now they will understand that as they turn those in, we need to see the overall network each
Yeah.
time that gets added.
And I think that'll be on us to make sure that we ask that question each time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate you.
Great, that was really helpful. You all set, William?
Yeah, I appreciated that as well. I think, just briefly, we are going to be asking about that. And what I was going to say is, I am very comfortable with the signage as is, and I was looking to the staff for, I think, I know we're going to preview this in a little bit, but I think the trails here and the way that both the natural space and the built environment interact is deserving of a fuller time together. I think it is rare. I can't think of another opportunity in the state of Maine for the creation of something like this. And so I know that it needs to be tied to something, and it is deserving of an entire agenda item. And I would like to see that within probably the next quarter, as we think about this and kind of holistically, because there are incredible resources out there in terms of professional trail builders who think about the interaction of the built natural world. And this is such a rare thing. And also, I am very comfortable with the signage plan as is. I think it is, I think I said this last time, I like the additional space on top. And I know you have some timelines in terms of the fabrication of those. So I appreciate that as well. Thank you, Mr. Chair. for
Thanks,
your
William.
time.
Roger?
Thank you. Regarding this, I like the signs too. I think the design and everything. I have a couple of questions regarding the staff's notes. On page 5, under the vehicle and pedestrian directional towers, you mentioned that the directional towers will be 4-sided, right?
Correct.
And then on 4, item 4, Roman numeral 4, you say on the electronic reader boards, and this is just a clarification from my point.
Sure.
Why only have the boards on 2 sides if it's a 4-sided sign?
Just trying to limit the amount of electronic signs that are,
These are relatively narrow. These are the narrow.
they are, so
Yeah.
it'll be like on north and south, we'll show an electronic sign that can change.
Yeah,
And then on east and west, we'll have the businesses listed on a static sign type.
okay, all right.
That's what we were intending.
You okay with that,
Yeah,
Dan?
that works for us.
Okay, all right.
You all set, Roger?
Not yet.
Oh, well, hurry up.
I'm trying to catch the staff here. On your notes on page 6, on the one directional vehicle rotary sign.
Mhm.
I assume that means it says is allowed and may require, there's one. Wouldn't there be one coming in from each?
That's what I thought as well. Nope, we've decided that we'd like to reduce the amount of signs in that area for now. And in the future, if they decide that they need more signage on that roundabout, they'll come back.
Yeah, our focus has really been wayfinding to the town center, because that's where often people are seeking, might be the first time into the project in particular. And it's less important, given the amount of traffic control signs approaching that intersection. Odd in particular isn't fond of the number. We thought we'd focus on really that priority for now. I think exiting, there's really only one destination coming out for shoppers, and that's Costco, and you can see Costco when you're approaching the roundabout. So we didn't think it was a priority. But we always can come back if priorities change and review it with you at a future time.
Well, I don't think it's a priority, but it's just my experience has been when you're entering a rotary from different roads, there's typically a sign with some directions as to what lane to get into and things like that. But if it's not a priority for you, Dan.
Well, there's street names, so there is already some information. This is more targeted towards like key destinations, and the town center is one.
The only other thing I'll say is this whole development this project has been developed as a work, play. What's the third one?
Live.
Live, work, play.
The
Play.
most important one, okay. And I assume that everybody who's gonna move there, they're gonna move there to be able to enjoy all the different amenities that are there. And they're certainly gonna find out, they'll know where the mariners are gonna be training, I mean, and all this other stuff. They're not gonna, I just don't see where they're gonna need all these, you gotta go over here, you gotta go over there, they're gonna know where to go. That's why they moved there. They want to be there and they'll be familiar with all these different things. So I just had to say that. That's all.
Thank you, Roger. Looking over to my left, do you have any input?
I would like to make a comment.
Sure. Absolutely. Go ahead, Marvin.
I think the signs are attractive. Roger, I come at this from a slightly different point of view. And being a brand new board member, this time, first time sitting on this side of the desk, I don't view it as though you're envisioning it as somebody who lives in the Downs. I also don't view it as somebody who's very educated about the development of this process. I view it, which is a resident of 10+ years who really doesn't and hasn't had an occasion to go into the Downs. I've certainly been in the Downs and I've looked around. I think, from my point of view, that you have sort of one shot for the people like me. That's a little overstating it. Where you're coming in and you don't know where things are. And the signage that could be provided from my point of view, it's almost the more the merrier, because you're coming in and you're educated and you sort of see, oh, they really have this figured out. And I can tell what's going on, even though obviously not my first time, but I'm not a frequent visitor. I don't shop there. And it would really make me feel as more comfortable, more knowledgeable, and the desire to come back more. And I can't be more eloquent. I mean, I'm not saying that's eloquent, but
I think your point was
I hope
well
that's
received.
helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. Ed?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I would like to echo that, what Marvin said. I believe, the signage is going to be key as this grows out. In my travels, I've, visited a nearby, live, work, play, down in Salem, New Hampshire, where they redeveloped the Rockingham Park area. And similar to this type setup, and there's not a lot of signage, and I do get confused. And I'm usually one that doesn't get too confused, but the way the different road network is, it's like, am I in the right lane? Where am I actually going? So I do appreciate that. The only thing that I noticed on this, and this is, again, first meeting, first time here, nothing on the Route 1 side. So I'm assuming that was probably covered at another time, or is that, will Route 1 sort of look like this, what you're presenting in the future?
That sounds more complicated than this board can address. So that sign is obviously existing. It's non-conforming in essentially every way, in terms of the town's regulations. So in order to fabricate signs for this fall, we couldn't add that to this package. We very much, have ideas for it, and we'll come to the board when there's a little less pressure in terms of your review and approval to, have that be updated and match into what we're talking about this evening. It's just it's a bigger initiative to do that.
Thank you.
Tuscan Village we visit often, I think that's the one you're referring to.
Tuscan Village, yes, thank you. I could not remember the name of it, yes.
I don't disagree that more signs could be better. We're also threading a needle with the sign regulations. So I think working with staff, they've been good in terms of how we can add as we go to the ones that are under this master plan. So I think that's the lever we want to pull, and so that we want people to come more than once and know where they're going and feel comfortable. So we share that same goal.
Thank you. I think just to wrap this up, I think this is a good start as a master plan. I'm also cognizant of sign pollution. I mean, we have traffic signs and we have wayfaring signs. We have lots of signs. And sometimes they end up, just a noise. And so it's a balance, but I think the framework that we're providing the Downs will get us to a point where there will be some give and take as this plan goes out. I mean, some of the master plans are on their 13th amendment. So this isn't going to be the only thing that we've got in terms of signs. So I think this is a great first start. I think the signs are attractive. I think that will begin to start leading Scarborough folks and those that are going into the Downs, to some degree. And then, of course, everybody uses a GPS. So once the GPS is all up to date, and Waze will respond right what lane you need to be in when you hit the rotary. So that will come too. So at this point, I do have a draft motion for consideration. I move to approve the project titled The Downs Signage Master Plan proposed by M&R Development and Crossroad Holdings LLC. The project is depicted in design documentation prepared by Leverage Design Group and Goral Palmer dated 5/5/2026. The application is approved with the following findings and conditions. Findings. The project will include the installation of signs throughout the Downs plan development in various design, height, and number. The approval is in accordance with Chapter 405, Section 12 of the zoning ordinance, which regulates signs and signage master plans. The planning board finds that the project meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance with the following conditions. Condition 1, all signs shall require a sign permit from the town of Scarborough's Planning and Code Enforcement Department. Number 2, prior to the submittal of the trail marker and trail map sign permit, the applicant shall update the trail wayfinding map exhibit with sign nomenclature from elevation for consistency. Number 3, prior to the issuance of a sign permit, the applicant shall submit a site plan showing A, the sign location in conformance with Section 12B26 vision triangle, and B, the separation distance between all existing signs and the proposed signs. Number 4, prior to the issuance of a sign permit, the staff will utilize the following documents to evaluate the design, size, number, separation, and setbacks have been met in accordance with the approved signage master plan. A, staff memo titled Signage Master Plan Review dated 5/18/2026. B, M&R Holdings and Downs Pad G signage revision 4 dated 5/5/26. And C, the Downs Trail signs dated 4/20/2026. Number 5, the applicant shall return to the planning board review and approval of an amended signage master plan for A, the addition of any project gateway signs in excess of the originally approved 2. B, the addition of any directional vehicle rotary signs in excess of the originally approved 1. And C, the addition of any business monument signs in excess of the originally approved 2. D, a change to the overall aesthetics or design characteristics of signs. And E, a new type of sign not previously represented in the signage master plan. This shall be reviewed by the planning department. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, James. Doreen, would you take the roll?
Rick King,
Yes.
James Hebert,
Yes.
William Sedlak,
Yes.
Roger Bailey,
Yes.
and Ed Hodgson.
Yes.
There you go. Welcome to a master plan of signs.
Thank you very much.
And now we are on number 4. M&R Holdings LLC on behalf of MRW Town Center Development LLC has requested a subdivision amendment review, amendment number 3, for the creation of Lot 14 by reconfiguring the boundaries of Lot 1, Innovation Way, Assessors Map U56, Lot B1. Helen, you want to take us through this one?
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chair. Not too much to add. As you mentioned, this is the third amended subdivision for the town center. It's essentially creating lot 14 and amending the boundaries of lot 1. And we have an amended site plan and a site plan respectively for both of those on the agenda later tonight. Crossroads Plan Development District, and the second amended subdivision was approved in May of last year, and the applicant is available for questions.
Thank you. And for the applicant?
We don't have too much to add to this one. This is really a tandem application with the site plan that we'll be reviewing on the next few items to establish a 7,500 square foot office building, professional building, and associated parking. Lot 1 was originally created for a larger mixed-use building. We went through the board review a few years ago. We haven't moved forward with that building yet, given the focus on Market Basket, Intermed, the mixed-use building on that area of town center. We still intend to do a building of that type. We're just starting with this smaller aspect of this larger lot and are creating this smaller lot to have shared parking, shared access, but be a separate lot owned by the smaller building versus part of a larger parcel.
Thanks, Dan. And this item is available for public comment. Anyone wishing to speak, please come to the podium and we'll check online.
I don't see any hands raised.
Thank you, Helen. Closing public comment, and this is pretty academic at this point. We'll be talking about these lots again, but I'll open it up to anybody that has any concerns on this amendment. All set? Seeing none, I do have a motion. I move to approve the third amendment to the Town Center subdivision proposed by MRW Town Center Development LLC as depicted in plan set prepared by Gora Palmer dated 4/20/26 with the following findings and conditions. Findings: the amendment constitutes the third amended subdivision of the Town Center subdivision. The amendment includes the creation of Lot 14 by reconfiguring the boundaries of Lot 1. The planning board finds this project meets the requirements of the subdivision and zoning ordinances with the following conditions. Conditions: 1, all conditions from the 5/19/2025 approval of the second amended subdivision shall apply. And 2, prior to the release of a signed subdivision plan for recording, the applicant shall A, address engineering comments and memo dated 5/4/26 and update the plan set. This shall be reviewed by the planning department. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, William. Doreen, would you call the roll?
Rick King,
Yes.
James Hebert,
Yes.
Sedlet,
Yes.
Peter. Roger Bailey,
Yes.
Ed Sedlet,
Yes.
Hodgson.
All right. There, you've got the third amendment now underway. All right, we're halfway through. I'm going to press on and maybe we can get through this 5 before 8:30 and we'll take a quick 5-minute after this next one. So item 4.05, M&R Holdings LLC on behalf of MRW Town Center Development LLC has requested site plan amendment review for changes to the site entrance, construction-related parking and access drives, Innovation Way, Lot 1, Assessors Map U56, Lot B001. And Helen, will you give us what we're supposed to do on this one?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So not much to add. Dan sort of covered it in the introduction to the amended subdivision. This is submitted for concurrent review with that amended subdivision that was just approved. The lot lines have been reconfigured to create Lot 14, and the full programming is to be determined. So I'll let the applicant speak more to that.
All right, applicant, you got to speak more to it.
Okay, I can share my. Okay. So as introduced, previously we had an approval, site plan review and approval for a building on Lot 1. It was located really to the right of this driveway that's shown on this site plan amendment. So we're consistent with town encouragement. We're providing a shared access point. So rather than each building having a driveway, we're proposing a shared driveway. This site plan amendment, provides for that. It actually shifts the driveway over per our subdivision plan to line up with the key access point across the street that you reviewed about a year ago for access to Lot 2. And we're proposing to, in order to get access to the office, build the access drive and a small percentage of the parking that will actually ultimately benefit the building right of that driveway to provide for some amount of parking on the Lot 1 site and access to the parking for Lot 14 in the office. And we're also updating kind of the walkways, et cetera, to correspond with this design, which provide access to this lot. But also, we talked about trails earlier. This is a key linkage from the Market Street sidewalk through this site to the trail system that goes around the gravel wetland. That's just south of this site that connects you around over to the other trails. So there's a Hall Road Trail by the pump station that heads out towards Allagash. So this also plays into the trail network expansion. But those are the key elements here, and it's really to provide access and some parking in the short term to get to the office that you review as your next site plan item.
Thank you, Dan. This item is available for public comment. Anyone wishing, you step to the podium. Checking online,
No one online.
closing public comment, and not in any particular order. First hand I see. Anybody want to speak? I'm not seeing any hands. We'll see again some of this, but it's fairly academic, and I think it gives them the ability to have another agenda item. So we'll power through this, and I do have a motion for this amendment. I move to approve the project title Lot 1 Site Plan Amendment proposed by MRW Town Center Development LLC. The project is depicted in plan set prepared by Carl Palmer dated 4/20/26. The application is approved with the following findings and conditions. Findings: the project will include changes to the site entrance, construction-related parking, and access drives. This approval is in accordance with the approved Town Center Master Plan, also approved by the Planning Board in February of 2023. The Planning Board finds the project meets the requirements of the site plan review and zoning ordinances with the following conditions. Conditions: 1, amended site plan review and approval is required by the Planning Board when a specific user for the site is identified and prior to any building construction. Number 2, the site plan approval includes site work and parking necessary for construction of the development for Lot 14, with the exception of the building. Prior to the start of construction, the applicant shall schedule a pre-construction meeting. The meeting shall include appropriate town staff, the developer, and their site contractor, and is to be coordinated through the planning department. The below must be addressed prior to scheduling the pre-construction meeting. A, address the comments in the traffic B&L peer review memo dated 5/4/26. B, address comments in the engineering Haley Ward's peer review memo dated 5/4/2026. And C, there is none. So this will be reviewed by the planning department. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I heard William first. Get it next time there, newbie. All right, Doreen, will you take the roll?
Rick King,
Yes.
Roger Bailey,
Oh, out of turn. Tricky. Yes.
William Sedlak,
Yes.
James Hebert,
Yes.
and Ed Hodgson.
Yes.
Very good. We power on, gang? Do a next agenda and then take a. You want to do a break now?
Oh, no.
Yeah. All right, let's stop for 5 minutes and be back here at 8:20. You're all right, Dan? All right, we'll recommence with action item 4.06, which is M&R Holdings LLC. On behalf of MRW Town Center Development LLC has requested site plan review for the development of a 7,478 square foot commercial building that is proposed to be divided into at least two commercial units, office space and the other a rooftop deck for occupant use. Innovation Way, Lot 14, Assessors Map 56, Lot B1. Helen, take us through this one.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is the companion lot to Lot 1, which we just discussed, and is part of the amended subdivision, which was approved tonight. As you mentioned, this is about a 7,500 square foot commercial building that would be divided, as proposed, into at least two units. It's a 0.71 acre parcel, located in the downtown center. The parking is proposed to be shared with Lot 1, and it's located in the Crossroads Plan Development Zoning District. The applicant is available for questions.
All right, thank you, Helen. And for the applicant?
Good evening again, Dan Bacon. This is 69 Market Street, also Lot 14, as presented by Helen. This is a rendering from Market Street of the proposed professional office building. This site is, as discussed, just to the left of the site plan you just approved, and more or less across the street from an earlier application that we discussed, a sketch plan. I've highlighted it in red. This is, again, the plan that was part of our master plan presentation over a year ago on the overall town center layout. So this site's always been intended to be an office type use, and that's how we're proceeding today. Zooming in a bit further, this is the building footprint and location. It's intentionally pulled up against the sidewalk. So the front facade will be close to the sidewalk. There's a few on-street parking spaces, in fact, on Market Street. And sidewalk, as I mentioned, it's just under a 7,500 square foot building. And each tenant space, as of right now, is about the same size. So they're about, 3,700 square feet per space. The parking is laid out, as you can see, interconnected and integrated with the site plan amendment that you reviewed. And we're providing 32 parking spaces for this building, which is per the ordinance plus 2 handicap spaces. So it's in line with the parking requirements of the zoning ordinance. And as indicated by Helen, when we have final programming and uses for Lot 1 building that's to the right, there's definitely an opportunity for shared parking, especially evenings and weekends when this building's going to only be lightly occupied, if not occupied at all. Other than that, we have a sidewalk connection from the building to the sidewalk along Market Street, and have laid the building out to connect to the utilities per the subdivision plan, et cetera. In terms of traffic, it's a low traffic generator, so we provided a scorecard for the board to track the overall traffic. But compared to the retail uses in the neighborhood, it's a light traffic generator. In terms of the building architecture, it's sort of that modern New England design that we've been using throughout the project. So it's a mix of clapboard and vertical board and batten type siding. And we've provided canopies to accentuate the entrances to the building, the 2 or 3 tenant entrances, as you can see. And kind of like I said, we've brought the building to the street, so it's the primary view and focal point as you approach on Market Street. There is a rooftop deck planned for the rear tenant and as amenity space, and it's intentionally kind of pulled away from the front facade of Market Street, so it's not kind of hanging out over the front of the building, so it's more in the background and won't stand out from the street. And it's essentially all it consists of is the, a small enclosure for the top of the stairs, and then a small rooftop area with rails actually overlooking kind of the woods. So it's intended to be kind of focused on the west side of the back space of the building. And we've worked with the fire department and will continue to at the building permit process in terms of ensuring proper egress and proper size of the rooftop deck, et cetera. And those are really an overview and the high points of the design, and happy to answer questions by the board. And if you have more detailed civil questions, Drew is here as well.
Thank you, Dan. This item is available for public comment. Anyone wishing to speak, please step to the podium. Seeing none, any online?
No, I'm online.
All right. Guess it must be a nice night out there. Nobody watching TV tonight, huh? Very good. I'll turn this over to my colleagues in no specific order. James, your hand went up first. You got the floor.
Just quick, can we go back to the site plan, Helen, please? Just so I can get proper perspective on this. Awesome, thank you. So Plan View West, that is Market Street, and that goes towards the entrance off of Haggis, correct? Allagash, in that direction? Okay.
correct.
So I see, thank you for providing the sidewalk on this side. Thinking about the office building, if it's a Friday afternoon or a Thursday afternoon, maybe they want to go to Allagash. Does that sidewalk on the left, how far does that go? Does that cut off and end right there, or does it continue on?
It ends at this building because the crossing of Willowdale was designed for one wider multi-use path, not a sidewalk on both sides. So this is really on this side of the street, the end of the line in terms of a pedestrian destination. If you're walking or biking, because the multi-use path is wide, it's
Yeah,
8 to 10 feet wide, you would cross the crosswalk and you would use the multi-use path that connects you to that destination. So 10 Market Street, the signal, et cetera.
right, in the crosswalk that goes over Market Street, that goes towards the bank that we saw earlier, right?
It goes to that corner.
That's
Yep.
that corner.
Yep, and then there's a crosswalk, as you can see, across the side street.
Further
Avenue
down.
West.
Yep, awesome. No,
Yep.
I love to see that. I wonder, excuse me, if the sidewalk in front of the unit is even needed at all, and instead, because if it's just a dead end and there's no room to make the sidewalk wider, I would argue you don't need that sidewalk there at all, make it green, and then just take that
Yes.
length of sidewalk and can you cross the street there as well and have crosswalks at each point at the intersection? That gets those people to the other side quicker rather than
It
go through
served,
two
the reason for the sidewalks, actually, it serves the on-street parking. So there's 2 to 3
That's what that is.
on-street parking spaces.
Okay,
So that's why it's there.
okay, so that's intended for tenants potentially, or just anyone parking there to use these buildings.
So it could be tenants, or say there's like you were saying earlier, a concert at the Green or something,
Okay,
the public can use that parking, but it's most likely destinations closest to it. So that sidewalk was part of the subdivision plan that the board approved, and is, slated for construction.
okay, I'm fine with that then. The argument's been made for it. It's served. Its purpose can be served by those parking spots there that have multi-use, so thank you. I have no more comments.
Thank you, James. William?
Yeah, I think maybe a nice transition, and I see a note here, is why have you not requested a shared parking reduction? And I think that ties in with just the overall, so we'd love to know more about why there isn't shared parking reduction for this and I'm guessing the site we discussed before. Understand that right? I am indeed understanding that correctly.
Yeah, so we would do that once we have the programming figured out for lot 1. So the intention would be that this site would share with that site. We just don't know yet what the parking requirements will be for the site adjacent to the right.
That's it for now.
For now?
Yeah.
The last time we're probably gonna see this.
No, I'm like, I'm just need a moment to think.
Oh, okay, all
Yeah.
right. Roger, all set? Ed, Marvin?
I'm all set right now.
Well, this one, Dan, a tribute to all the times you've been in front of this planning board, putting together site plans, and working with staff. You kind of hit it the first time and you got a home run, I think. I do have a motion for this. I move to approve the project title Lot 14 site plan proposed by MRW Town Center Development LLC. The project is depicted in plan set prepared by Goral Palmer dated 4/20/2026. The application is approved with the following findings and conditions. Findings, the project will include the development of a 7,478 square foot commercial building on a proposed 0.71 acre parcel. The proposed building is anticipated to be divided into at least 2 commercial units, one of which will serve as an office space and feature a rooftop deck for occupant use. This approval is in accordance with the approved downtown center master plan, also approved by the planning board in February of 2023. The planning board finds the project meets the requirements of the site plan review and zoning ordinances with the following conditions. Condition 1, prior to the submittal of a building permit, the applicant shall A, address staff comments and conditions of approval in memo dated 5/18/2026. B, address comments in the traffic B&L peer review memo dated 5/4/26. C, address comments in the engineering Haley Ward peer review memo dated 5/4/2026. And D is now, E is now D, right? Provide a final full plan set to the planning department. This shall include all site and civil plans, landscape plans, lighting plans, and architectural renderings and elevation. E, provide formal approvals of the Scarborough Sanitary District and the Portland Water District. F, execute a stormwater maintenance agreement with the town. The form of the stormwater maintenance agreement is located in Appendix 1 of the Town of Scarborough, Chapter 419, Post-Construction Stormwater Infrastructure Management Ordinance. G, pay the Chapter 419 Stormwater Maintenance Agreement and Reporting Fee. The total is $750. H, payment of all review fees and invoices. And I, pay roadway impact fees, total $8,166. And that comes from Dunstan Corner at $4,206 and Haggis Parkway at $3,960. Condition 2, prior to the issuance of a building permit, the applicant shall A, reach out to the planning department at scarboroughmaine.org to schedule a pre-construction meeting for 3 weeks from the submittal date. The meeting shall include appropriate town staff, the developer, and their site contractor. Condition 3, prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy, the applicant shall A, submit evidence in the form of a letter or plan prepared and stamped by a professional engineer who either prepared the post-construction stormwater management plan and its associated facilities or supervised the plan and facility construction and implementation. The letter of plan shall certify that the stormwater management facilities have been installed in accordance with the approved post-construction stormwater management plan and that they will function as intended by said plan. B, reach out to the planning department 2 weeks prior to the CO inspection at scarboroughmaine.org to schedule a final site inspection and establish a performance guarantee for any missing items. Condition 4, prior to the issuance of a sign permit, the applicant shall provide a final signage plan. This shall be reviewed by the planning department. Do I have a second?
Second, I was.
All
given an
right, Ed, you
opportunity.
wait in here. Very good. Doreen, would you take the roll, please?
Rick King,
Yes.
James Hebert,
Yes.
William Sedlak,
Yes.
Roger Bailey,
Yes.
and Ed Hodgkins.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I know we're gonna get another bite at the apple for the previous one, and I just, as that's brought back, would encourage, Dan, you and your crew to think about parking reduction as
Yeah.
part of all of that. I know you're pros, you're already thinking about it, but vocalizing it out loud.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Anytime they can do that, they're gonna do it. I would think.
I absolutely know that, and I am still putting it out in the universe in case someone is confused out there in the universe.
Good due diligence. There you go. Thank you, William. All right, we are down to two more. Action item 4.07, M&R Development on behalf of Crossroad Holdings LLC has requested a second amended master plan and updated site inventory and analysis review to expand the town center district northwood for an additional 29 acres for mixed residential and light commercial development and provide for a wide mix of housing types, light commercial spaces, as well as senior housing. Innovation Way Assessors Map U53, Lot 55. Helen, you want to give us a rundown?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the Town Center Residential District is currently this is the second amendment to that district. It's currently 46 acres and is proposed to expand to 75 acres. It's proposing, as you mentioned, a 29-acre expansion with a mix of housing types, commercial development, including senior housing. The initial master plan was approved in 2018, and the first amended master plan was approved in 2021. The applicant is available for questions yet again.
All right, Dan. This was the Dan Bacon Show
Okay,
tonight.
The last one, so. Thank you for the introduction. And first I wanted to orient you. You've heard where this is, but this plan helps kind of provide that context in plan view. So this is obviously left of the town center residential district, which is north. So it's north of Hackamore, Ave, Pacer Way, et cetera, which are all complete to date in our town center residential part of the project. And it's east of the town center district. So we were just reviewing plans a good bit west of this, but this is directly east and abuts the approved town center district where, our commercial and mixed use activities are occurring. It's also the area that largely consists of the old inner track of the harness racing facility. You can see on this plan the northern turns of the outer track, so just outside the boundaries of this district, but like the eastern edge of the outer track and the majority of the inner track kind of consist of this district. And the intention is to, as Helen introduced in our narrative, kind of continue similar uses and development type of what's happened in the town center residential area, most notably extend Pacer Way to the north per our overall kind of interconnected master plan, to extend Front Runner Way, which also is a key street in the center of the town center residential district, and then to connect ultimately Cross Street, which is in town center today, which is, you can see my cursor right here, and to tie that in. And then those are the primary streets that we anticipate within this new district. And then we'll have additional kind of tertiary, secondary streets, alleys, much like town center residential has, to provide more specific access to different housing and lots. Overall, it's 29 acres. It's largely upland, is 25 or so acres of upland. There's a wetland complex kind of on this screen. It's on this view, it's on the left side, kind of the far left inside the track area. And then on the top of the screen is a combination of wetlands and the beginning of one of the branches of Millbrook. So that area we're proposing to buffer and leave alone, but that's the top of this plan there. And the colors are really kind of like we do with the master plan phase, kind of a gradient of kind of intensity, where we anticipate more intense housing types closer to town center, and then less intense as you get further towards Pacer and the Sawyer Road neighborhood. I'll go to the next. This is the open space plan that's expected of this master plan submission. And like I was describing, the top of this district, the brown is showing the wetland areas, and then the green, so those wetland areas would be part of the open space, and then the green around it is additional open space to provide buffer to those wetlands. And then you'll see kind of nested in the middle on the top of the screen, a blue area that would be where we would have some stormwater occur. So stormwater detention would occur there, and then outlet into the wetland and tributary stream in that location. Also along in that area and along the easterly property boundary is a buffer that would be left alone, but for providing a trail through it, which, like we've done in other areas, to provide trail access to expand our trails. But that would be the only kind of use of that buffer other than providing a buffer to the neighbors to the east. And then I mentioned the wetland kind of in the center there would be provided a buffer consistent with the town's ordinance and buffer regulations. And then there would be another stormwater BMP kind of adjacent to that. There was a staff comment about kind of neighborhood open space in addition to natural resource open space, and we plan on doing that like pocket parks and more linear green space, very much like town center residential, and would incorporate that in the subdivision submission when we come before you, much like we did in the other phases. Also in the master plan submission is a infrastructure plan, and this is conceptual, but important, indicative of how this area would be served by infrastructure. I mentioned the roads already, the primary streets, but water would be looped and extended from our existing public water lines and looped on these primary 3 roads, as you can see here in blue. There would be underground electric and telecom. That's the red dashed line that would serve this area. And sewer is going to be connected to the existing gravity system. And then there's a small area of low pressure that would be pumped to tie it into the gravity system. And those are the, and stormwater will be directed to those 2 stormwater BMPs that I mentioned, based on kind of final grading. There's if you want details, Drew can kind of talk you through the watersheds that would go to the 2 different stormwater BMPs. And then in terms of connectivity and the pedestrian system and road interconnections, we provided sort of these walking rings, like we've talked about a bunch, in terms of distance from this neighborhood to key destinations. We kind of just picked the center to provide you just a sense of walk times. But you can see through those rings, what the walk time would be from, say, the outer limits of this neighborhood over to town center and vice versa. And I'm going to bring up this one other plan and then turn it back to the board. This plan better shows the trail extension that we're going to do. And that's really extending the trails that currently tie into Pacer, come off the Pacer, basically the curve of the Pacer neighborhood that's already in place. There's a trail that links back to the Gristmill neighborhood. We're proposing to have a spur off of that and run along that buffer I was speaking to earlier, actually within the existing town center residential district and then into the new. So we can link the existing neighborhood over to this neighborhood and then tie back into the sidewalk system. So we're extending, Drew did a quick measurement. It's about 1,300 feet to kind of give you a sense of the length of that run of trail. But we would incorporate that into this master plan. And it's the staff, there was also a staff comment and question about alleyways. So as part of, in addition to these plans, we have our space and bulk requirements, kind of performance standards for this area. As part of that, we did fair amount of alleys, as older board members or longer time board members have recall. We would continue to do that in some cases, and we're setting up a meeting with the fire department to confirm success and, get any feedback on the design of that. We think they've been working fine. They're 16 feet wide with reinforced turf on both sides so that they can be used by emergency apparatus and meet the typical standard. So we haven't heard any concerns with it, but we're going to have a meeting to make sure that's still the case because that's part of the standards that are in this package that have been in place for quite some time. And then we're also updating some of the inconsistencies that Aaron identified with the old standards. They're just the old standards. You just noticed some things that could be improved. So as part of this, we're just going to clean those things up. But I think those are the key staff comments I wanted to recognize. So with that, I'll turn it back to the board.
Thank you, Dan. This item is available for public comment. Anyone wishing, please step up. Nobody decided to watch TV? Okay, still no TV, so let's go. Just a quick question, Dan. You mentioned a pump. Is there gonna be a pump house in this section like you've done?
I hope not.
Okay, you don't think you'll need it?
No, we've done one more pump station than we planned, so we want to stop at that.
Oh, okay.
But there is an area, and Drew can speak to it, where we're going to do low pressure, which are smaller pumps that go with each house. We did that in part of town center residential. So it's really
Okay.
the far eastern edge, but you can speak to it, Drew.
I like the pump houses, so thank you for the question, but I know they certainly have a cost associated with them. What we're proposing as part of this phase is just an extension of that low pressure system that's completely subsurface. And they're
Subsurface, okay.
homeowner grade ones that are usually in the front yard and they have a little green lid on it. And with a associated control panel. So you won't really tell, but it would be a subsurface infrastructure item. There's only going to be a small portion of the units that would be on that. That's just kind of the proximity to the other pump station. So just subsurface, low pressure systems.
Great, thanks. Anybody, I'm not gonna pick particular people, want to weigh in on this? Roger, you've probably been involved in every single master plan of the Downs, haven't you?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, you're old enough to, I know that.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Basically, this is essentially going to be very similar to the other, like the town center. I think it's north residential or residential north. It's going to be basically the same layout and everything, isn't it?
Yeah, very similar. Yeah, town center residential. Yeah.
I just have a question, Dan, on, where Intermed's going. Have you named the road that?
Yeah,
that-
it's the Intermed, the road off of Downs Road is Middle Street.
Middle, and I assume that's gonna run parallel right up, the same as Cross.
It is parallel to Cross Street. Yeah.
And that's where Pacer and Forerunner will eventually intersect with.
Pacer will likely intersect north of this district because there's wetlands between Pacer and Intermed. So Pacer will, if you can see on the screen up here,
I can
Roger.
see a little bit of it right here on the edge. But,
So
I just.
ultimately, there'll be interconnections. Yes,
Yeah.
it's just Pacer will need to be extended north past this district to get around wetlands that then will tie a road by Intermed into that.
And how, okay, so I basically, this is what we've seen before, so I don't really have any other questions. I'm just kind of curious. I was kind of curious what the road was if you had a name for it. I thought I saw a name, and that's it. Would you say middle?
Middle.
Middle,
Yeah,
Middle.
yeah, okay, all right.
Middle Street.
So I'm glad to see this is happening. So that's all I have.
All right, thanks, Roger. Go ahead, James.
Mr. Chairman. I too am excited to see this finally come before us. It's exciting to see it going forward and looking forward to seeing it finished. One item and brought up from earlier discussion this evening is a condition of approval. I'd like to see us add require trail system and wayfinding pedestrian signage be integrated into this plan. That way, speaks to the comments that Marvin and Will and I were making earlier about providing pedestrian signage. If we go back to the connectivity slide, you had mentioned, Dan, we want to direct residents and people who are visiting from town center to all the other major wayfinding areas. Yes, thank you very much. We show this awesome ring showing the distances here, and I'd like to see that encapsulated in pedestrian signage and wayfinding and showing how far it is to walk to the hockey rink or whatever establishments are there that would encourage people to go. So yes, require trail system and wayfinding, pedestrian signage be integrated into this plan. That's, if we can word salad that a little bit better, maybe
Should
we'll
go
have a
down
better
now.
idea. Hell is the expert. So otherwise, that's my only comment that I have on this. So,
Good one.
thank you.
Thanks, James. William?
Yeah, I want to touch on that. My other comment is just, I am a huge fan of the alleys throughout this. I grew up in a small town with alleys, and the benefit for children is immense. And so to the extent that that can be worked out with fire departments, I just want to enthusiastically co-sign the ideas of alleys throughout this project. And I think in terms of the conditional approval, I'm strongly in support of that, and think that would love to just see you all come back and work with, again, there are phenomenal professionals on this that I think would, with maybe some of that parking lot savings that we talked about earlier, apply it to some professionals around trail design and building. And kind of the integrated experience for someone, both in terms of, and I don't differentiate trails truly between natural and built world. They are all together. And so would love to see how that's going to look forward, and we'll be looking for that with any amendments for master plans going forward here.
Thank you, William. Ed, Marvin? Good.
Good over here.
Okay, I'm good too. It's almost 9 o'clock. We're doing good. I do have a motion for this. I move to approve the project. I'm gonna read yours. I move to approve the project titled Town Center Residential Master Plan Second Amendment proposed by Crossroad Holdings LLC. The project is depicted in application materials dated 4/20/2026. Findings: the proposal amends the existing town center master plan at the Downs by expanding the town center residential district by 29 acres northward. This expanded area is expected to include a mix of housing types as well as light commercial development and senior housing. Conditions: Condition 1, address staff comments dated 5/18/2026. And 2, update the plan set as discussed at the 5/18/2026 planning board meeting. This includes integrate pedestrian signage and trail signage and wayfinding. This shall be reviewed by the planning department. Do I have a second?
We might need to update the condition. I'm not sure if I captured the spirit of.
I think you did.
Can you update it to include, amend the plan to include a clear trail plan that includes wayfinding signage?
Yes, what you said. Everybody like that?
Yes.
All right, I do too. You got that?
So.
Okay. I'll give you back yours. With that verbiage added in, do I have a
Second.
second? All right, thank you, William. You got it in. Doreen, you want to take the roll?
Rick Meinking,
Yes.
James Hebert,
Yes.
William Sedlett,
Yes.
Roger Healy,
Yes.
and Ed Hodgson.
Yes.
Thank
Super.
you.
You're about done, aren't you, Dan?
Appreciate it.
All right. Good luck to you. All right. Last item we have is Colliers Engineering and Design, on behalf of Walmart Real Estate and Trust, is requested amended site plan review for a proposed building modification that consists of a 6,959 square foot addition to the west side of the existing building, replacing the existing outdoor fenced garden area and associated site work located at 500 Gallery Boulevard, Assessors Map R37, Lot 3,308. And Helen, you want to take us through this one?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this project includes the addition that you mentioned to the west side of the building, about 7,000 square feet. It also involves the relocation and expansion of the pickup parking area. So there are 9 existing spaces, which will be converted to standard parking as part of this proposal, and then 45 new pickup spaces created, which are near the proposed expansion on that west side of the building. This is about a 26-acre parcel in the B2 district, and the site plan for this was originally approved in 2005, and there have been some small amendments since then. And I just wanted to flag the primary item for discussion with staff and the applicant has been around traffic, and the traffic study that might be required with this proposal. It's a fairly small section of the site that's involved in this proposal, but it's a pretty large, complex site. So that's come up a couple of times and that's reflected in our comments. And I know the applicant will be ready to speak to that as well. And that's all I have. We have a very patient applicant who's available for questions.
Thank you, Helen. And for the applicant.
Well, it's nice of M&R to share the podium. So, yeah, I'm here tonight to represent Colliers, representing Walmart Inc. in this. My name is Mara McKenzie. So as you know, Helen summed it up pretty well. That is the extent of our project. It's a, almost 6,959 square foot expansion to the west side of the building. We are proposing EV chargers as required by code as well. So there are existing EV chargers on site and we'll be expanding that from 4 to 8 with this proposal. So the purpose of this expansion for the Walmart building is something that they're doing nationally across the United States. So this is their program where they're expanding their online pickup and delivery operations. And so this is consistent across the US and not this site specifically, and like a need driven from this store specifically to expand their operational space. The existing online pickup and delivery space in the store currently is in the back corner where that, pickup canopy is in the parking lot. As Helen said, there's 9 spaces out there existing, and that space for the store is about 2,000 square feet. So if we're relocating pickup, that'll be converted back to office space within the building, stockroom space for that back half of the store. And with this, there'll be expanded refrigerators, racks, a freezer, and a staging area for the associates to dispense and for delivery out of the store. So with that, we kind of talked about with the staff comments. So we discussed during the pre-application meeting, the original traffic concerns were regarding tractor trailers using the incorrect entrance. They typically, I guess, have been coming off, I think, the Springville, if I'm remembering the street name, Spring Street entrance. And we did talk to Walmart about that cascaded that message across. Their store ambassador talked to all of the drivers, and they are aligned with not using that entrance. They can't enforce tractor trailers unrelated to Walmart using that entrance, but that is something that, we kind of talked about additionally in our DRC meeting as well. Yeah, so I guess the traffic piece, I can talk to it before we open it up to the board, is really regarding, I did talk to our representative at Walmart who brought in some other folks. So we have I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I think it was Jack. He was a previous traffic engineer and he now works for Walmart and does the data operation for the online pickup and delivery trip generation. So he says they typically see like a very negligible impact, if not like a decrease, but kind of like a cancel out because of the delivery aspect of online pickup and delivery. So while you're converting current store customers to pick up potentially, we're not really driving new traffic. This is a future-proofing method for Walmart. As a previous applicant stated, we don't want to have to be coming back in 2 to 5 years to expand the pickup again. So this is kind of their one launch to making this a larger operation for the store that they have seen tried and true across stores that have already gone through their OPD expansions, and seen that impact. So I guess I can leave it up to the board to comment further and kind of discuss about that in more detail.
Is that all you have
Mhm.
for us right now? Thank you very much. This item is available for public comment. I see nobody in the audience. Still, we're not getting any viewership here. Anyway, I'll start this one off. In my comments, I just want to make sure you understand that we look at some of our peer reviews that have really some expertise in these things. And our peer reviewer for the traffic is asking for a full traffic impact study. And I myself support that. And this is the reason why. Walmart's been around in Scarborough for a long time, and that whole area has grown. We had a lot of parking, and now we have some infill businesses, and we, generally speaking, are no longer the same traffic flows because of all of this. And with this, it is a significant change, and I am concerned about the traffic where pedestrians will primarily be walking on. I would feel much better in approving this. I guess you could say it's a definite business model change or addition to the business model that Walmart has. I think because of that change in this whole area, doing a full traffic impact study is a prudent thing to do. And so I would be in favor of having that done prior to us approving what seems like may be a market-driven need. You don't know because it hasn't been done here at a Walmart in Maine, to my knowledge. So I want to just put that on the record now, because I'm pretty sure our peer reviewer would not be recommending that had it not been a real need. Now I'll let my colleagues weigh in on anything and everything. Go ahead, James.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll support that as well. I'll say second that because it's not a real motion, but Walmart generally is slammed every time you go with just more traffic and more folks that are going there. And I think, again, as you mentioned, with the infill of businesses that are there, more restaurants, which is great for growth and connectivity in that area. Traffic study needs to certainly be looked at again for this area. With regards to lighting, I understand that you already have existing very tall poles in place there on the site. That's generally not what we're really striving for nowadays in Scarborough, but understanding that's the existing condition that's out there. What I will ask though is for you to look at the calcs again, instead of doing a 4-mast pole on all sides, can we get away with 3 and not have one aiming towards, I believe, is it Spring Street? That's directly adjacent there. Only because there is a lot of ambient lighting from a lot of other businesses that are there. There's also not so far away, not even a quarter of a mile, you get towards None Such Brewing and some residential that's out there as well. So if we can try to reduce some lighting pollution here, I would like to see that incorporated. I couldn't tell based on the light fixture schedule, but also confirm, even though if it's a one-off, it's still one that makes it a little bit better. I'd like to see a 3,000 K color temperature for the fixture for the Scarborough lighting ordinance. As well as I want to see documentation on the lighting drawings showing controls that abide by the International Energy Code, IECC, that was recently updated and adopted by the state of Maine last April. It involves with some additional controls that dim the lights down during not working hours, so you're not at full blast all night long. It's my understanding that the Walmart closes at 11 PM. Do you have operations that go on 24 hours there?
No.
So I guess my encouragement would be to next time, provide some additional information for us to see that, yes, we can apply some, we can apply some controlled dimming that meets the letter of the law adopted by the state of Maine and also indirectly by the town of Scarborough as well with the IECC. So again, dimming the lights down at night, just so that we're not full blast. Conserves energy, it lowers light pollution. And for any project that we're looking at that doesn't have this already in place, this is going to be something that I'm going to bring up each time. So I would like to see that. Thank you.
Thanks, James. Roger.
Thank you. Basically what you're doing, you're taking the pickup area that was established during the pandemic
Mhm.
and moving it to the Spring Street side of the building.
Yes.
Okay. The thing about, when vehicles come in now, trucks, I've never paid attention to it, so that's why I'm asking this question. I'm assuming they're coming off the turnpike.
I don't know.
Okay, and then they're coming down Payne Road and they're gonna enter right where Martin's is right now. And coming in, are they directed to come in right on Gallery Boulevard and go to the store that way? Or do you know, because they have to take a right on Spring Street and then take a left to get in.
Yes, so that, to my understanding, is what some trucks seem to be doing. There has been some repair to the sidewalk due to that not being an entrance that facilitates those larger truck movements. It is meant to be off the Gallery Boulevard, and that is where the heavy-duty pavement was built along with the site. Like, that is the truck route that is supposed to be taken, and that is what the Walmart delivery drivers
Is
take.
there signage right now to direct trucks, delivery trucks that way? That you're aware of?
So, and to my knowledge, I don't think that there's standard, like, trucks go this way signage on site. So I think there's maybe like one site that say trucks with an arrow. But that's like the extent of typical signage that goes for delivery trucks
I think
of that caliber, I should
I
say.
think that Spring Street entrance is the problem right there because a lot of Scarborough comes up Spring Street to get there. And
That's good.
and I can see where that could be a problem. So whatever, if you can somehow make sure that the delivery trucks of all kinds goes the way they're supposed to go and just bypass that. I think that would be a big help. And so that's the area you're gonna expand the EV stations to.
It is on that side of the store, that
Okay.
site as well.
All right. The only other thing I would say, I've been on the board for quite a few years, and this is not a big expansion, but I've never seen such comprehensive plans. This is very impressive. So I'm all set.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. William?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would also, I guess, third at this point, your recommendation around the traffic impact study. I was also interested in the peer evaluation about evaluating physical mitigation measures, considering compliance is a hard thing to require, but some physical mitigation measures might be more effective for those drivers that are independent operators. And so would encourage you all to look at that as well as when we see you next.
Thank you, William. On this side of the house, Marvin?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would, what is it, we have now fourth, the traffic study? Yes, I think the full traffic study does need to be part of that. One thing that I have noticed, especially when it comes to the truck traffic that has been, that we've seen or, on that Spring Street entrance side, is that, and as someone who has shopped at Walmart, has seen that that seems to be a place where a tractor trailer may go and sort of, park for a bit. And so I'm also concerned about where do they go now within the parking lot if they're going to start cutting across the front of the store now and finding new spaces from there. What does that look like? Because then that just becomes another pedestrian nightmare. Not that I'm saying, I'm just sort of pointing something out that I've seen, over there. I was there the other day and there was a gentleman with his hood up and was in there doing some type of maintenance work on his engine. Where does, I understand we can't control that or do anything about that. But if those things are happening now, they're going to continue to happen. And now how is that truck going to be if that's not available? Decide they're going to start navigating into the, the regular pedestrian parking lot. And then, I do appreciate, I know it was brought up before, have they done any of these massive, well, I shouldn't say massive, but, they're upgrading or upgauging the online pickup and deliveries that's been done in other places in Maine?
Yes, it has.
Where else has it been done?
So this is our region. So Falmouth, Biddeford, Farmington is getting approved right now. I have another one, and I can't think of the top of my head. Presque Isle.
Presque Isle, okay.
Ooh, Thomaston, Maine. Sorry, I just thought of another one.
Thomaston.
Sorry, we're kind of all over the state now, but the last 2 years we've had at least 4 approved.
Okay, and to this size and scope?
Some of them have been internal remodels and others have been expansions as well.
Okay, but any expansion to this size with this many, like basically
Yes.
going from 9 spaces to 45 spaces?
So 9 is quite small. I'm surprised that the store has gotten away with 9 for so long. Typically, we go from 12 or 15. But not that that's too many more, but we've gone from that, like at least a double-digit number to a higher double-digit number. Yes, we have seen that as well.
And as I'm thinking about this, like clearly Walmart, I mean, they're saying they're future proofing,
Mhm.
but 9 has not been enough at this point, I guess.
I can't imagine this. My local Walmart, it's a little packed when I go there sometimes. Like, so, they seem to, it's not a store complaint. I know when they talked about the size of the expansion that they do take in. So home office at Walmart definitely takes in all the stakeholders that they need. So we have the store manager and then we have the market manager. So the market manager actually brings up another point for me as well. I could put a tab on that. Who has multiple within this area as well. And they take in all their input and what they're looking at the store's numbers and specifically within this department, who I previously mentioned also within Walmart, who was a previous traffic engineer. Like his job is to run those numbers and to see what that store is producing and if it's worth investing in that store. Give me a little peek behind the curtain. I don't know, am I recorded? So like that they're running all these numbers and they're seeing that, this would be worth it for the store and it would help their internal operations as well. Now that they're able to move these huge refrigerators and these racks like all the way over to this other side of the space and they can have their back room back because sometimes they see an overflow of that work being done that spills into, you have clothes and then you have, your grocery pickup on a rack over here and the associates are working to get that out the door for the customer. So it just kind of helps separate and gives them a dedicated operational space to work out of. I hope I'm answering your question.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you.
Sure, Marvin, go ahead.
Hi, big fan of Walmart, moved here from Arkansas, actually still have a place there in Arkansas.
Nice.
And I appreciated the memos addressed to the planning board. I thought, oh, that's nice.
Thanks.
I completely support the idea of a traffic study. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. I think it's essential. And reading these memos addressed to the planning board, I was really struck by the fact, and this is the one about in response to the traffic memo, that the last paragraph on page 1 describes an improvement to operational efficiency is what you hope to gain here.
Yes.
And when I see improvement to efficiency, I think, how can you possibly follow that sentence with the idea that the expansion is designed to redistribute how customers interact with the store rather than attracting new trip generations to the site? If you're improving efficiency, you're going to improve, you're going to increase trip generations because people are going to have a better experience there. So there's a logic way over my head, but I don't mean to put too fine a point on it. I'm not buying it. It's sort of like those two things don't add up. And that's why I support there needs to be more work done here as far as traffic is concerned. It looks to me as though you're trying to have it both ways in a certain way. So it raises that concern for me. And then frankly, the Spring Street entrance isn't working. And you've admitted that you can't control what the people who don't do exactly what Walmart says truck driving wise do. And yet it's still not working. Walmart's always been able to control what the truck drive, the people that drive the trucks for them do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure they've been following the instructions. So to my way of thinking, I don't know how you accomplish it, but I think that there needs to be a redesign to the Spring Street entrance that works. And I'd hope that was part of the traffic study that's done. It seems a measure by halves as far as full measure to make it work, make the difference. So thank you for.
Can we share the site plan again up on the screen? If you have C1, or I can also share too if you want me to, but. Mhm. Yeah, so this one works. It's an overall kind of view to the site. So right now our current pickup operations exists at the back of the store. And this is the kind of, it's a straight through. That entrance brings you right to the back of the building to the online pickup and delivery. That is, according to our DRC meeting, we talked about this at length as well. This is the entrance that most people use. The main traffic trips are coming from this Gallery Boulevard entrance here on Plan East, this entrance right here. We are taking away that impact to this entrance to the site. So that's our trucks. Now we have all our pedestrians that come in this way as well. My understanding is you can't make a left out of the other Gallery Boulevard entrance. And so we are getting a little bit of a congestion here on this entrance right here. We're driving that traffic away from that entrance and we're taking it to a new side of the store. So that's kind of where our wayfinding signage comes into place. We want people to use cars and regular motor vehicles to be using this additional Gallery Boulevard entrance or the Spring Street entrance to get to the online pickup and delivery. And so if we're utilizing the Spring Street entrance, we are taking the customers that would maybe go through the site and we're taking them through just to this one entrance and we're alleviating that bottlenecking or, congestion, however maybe these are wrong buzzwords in my favor, but it's talking about lessening the impact to that entrance and that side of the store. And now we're bringing it to the other side of the store. So we are taking up existing garden space. So we're taking up existing space that the store already takes up with this expansion of, to the building square footage. But this isn't a new use for the site. So this is something that exists currently with the store. I mean, I know it has like a limited number of spots available to park, but people are already utilizing this. And with the signage that we have, the building signage and the banner on the light pole, we are taking people and they will get used to going to the other side of the store. And so that's where I think efficiency in my memo comes from. Talking about taking and utilizing this one space for online pickup and delivery that's separate from the rest of the retail storage. Trucks will park in Walmart parking lots, unfortunately. But we have store manager on board. And again, this is all a part of an internal remodel as well. So we're taking that existing online pickup and delivery space in the store. We are reconfiguring that space, but we're upgrading the retail brands, the signage within the store, the flow of, the store. We're taking the main retail space, but then we're upgrading certain amenities within the store. So this is a full-fledged, refresh for the store. And the store manager wants that, market manager wants that for their store. And so that comes into kind of that part of it as well. So we have done this in Maine, and we have worked with the New York State DOT as well on projects in New York. And we have had expansions larger than 10,000 square feet in New York, and we haven't done the full traffic study. But, that is where this comes into play, is it is meant to be a small expansion to the existing large Walmart operation.
I understand. This is Maine. This is Scarborough. Our job is here in Maine, in Scarborough.
Mhm.
And when you're projecting an increase of 35 trips for an already congested area, we want to see a traffic study. We want to get it right.
Mhm.
So that's why I'm insisting on a traffic study. Roger, quickly, please. It's almost 9:30.
I kind of curious, the pickup area.
Mhm.
That's a growth. We're talking about customers. That's a growth area in the store. Is that correct? For Walmart?
What do you mean?
Well, is that for people when they order online and they go and pick up things at the store?
Yep.
Okay,
So they pull in, they go.
okay. So when they come out of there, their exit is either onto Spring Street or to go across the front of the store
Mhm.
to get out to the main Gallery Boulevard.
So there is an additional Gallery Boulevard right there. I know we talked about they can't make a left out of that, but then we have the entire bottom half of the parking lot, or top half is shared on the screen, that goes around all of the main parking lot area.
Okay, parallel to Gallery Boulevard.
Yes. Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a
Let's
lane.
not try to design it tonight.
Whatever you say.
Let the traffic study happen and see what we get. And again, I think working with staff and coming up with a solution is your best bet. And I don't think we really need to get too in the gritty, because this is projected to generate more trips. And I just feel like safety of our, and I know you're concerned about safety. So I don't want to get down the road here of trying to justify or not justify a traffic study. When we're seeing this increase, I think because of the location and because of what's going on there, we should have a traffic study so we get it right.
I would just like to add to the applicant, there are opportunities to meet with our traffic engineers and your traffic engineer, and we can come up with, we know this is a focused, we know there are some specific issues. It's not brand new trips. We know there are some issues with truck parking and the access to the site. I spoke with a landscape architect today about some site work. to
Nice,
make-
yeah.
To make
Mhm.
things more visible. So
Mhm.
there is an opportunity to have a reduced or lessened traffic impact, but I think once we get
Mhm.
the engineers to talk and then we can go over it. So I just wanted to put that out there for you.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Autumn.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll see you again, I trust. Very good. Thank you very much. All right, folks, that brings us up to staff report, minor development reviews.
Had one minor development review in this review cycle. This was also in the Downs actually, but in the Innovation District. It was a site plan for lot 56, which was a 6,213 square foot light industrial and co-working facility. The way that the site plan review ordinance is written, this was able to go through the minor development review process. It's a fairly small parcel.
Okay,
And moving on to administrative, we had a, after the fact site plan approval for 108 Running Hill. This was a landscape contractor use that
I remember,
might
yeah.
sound familiar.
Yeah.
This was going through the special exception sort of process, and this was the final stage for their sort of planning side of things. So that came across our desk, and that's it.
very good. That leads us to any correspondence.
None at this time.
Planning board comments. James.
Just another big welcome for Ed Hodgson and Marvin Gates. You guys did great tonight. Not often you get to be on the board and then you're voting the first night, so congratulations. And I mean, everybody here has a strength, a very different strength that everybody all brings, and starting to see those come out tonight with the both ears and your comments that you made tonight. So our diversity is our strength and all of our opinions we have on here in the board. So appreciate you guys being here. Thanks for volunteering.
Thanks, James. That was nice.
Thanks. It's great being here. Great listening to you and learning. Thank you.
Anyone else? I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have it. Thank you, everybody. Planning board adjourned.